go. Welcome to Frustrations with Auxdata2. I'm sharing my entire screen with you. So I'm going to pop up. Let's take a look at who is here. And then I'm going to ask you to share your frustrations so that we can kind of work through those as we go. I have no PowerPoint for this one because I think you just need to know. So Scott, if you could turn your camera off, that's going to help me see everybody. And I'm going to create a list. We have Charles Palmer, Douglas McGaw, Edie, Aloyas, hi Aloyas, Fran, hi again Fran, Commodore Smith, Jim, Karen, Mark Cole, Monica Jankowski, Sawyer, and Scott. All right. Can you hear the fishermen coming in? Aha. Okay. I'm just going to start by introducing myself. My name is Sue Thurlow. I am the DSOIS for Auxdata2. Let's say that's pretty much all I do. And we'll try and get started. So let's make sure that you can hear me. Does somebody want to say gotcha?
Gotcha.
Oh, perfect. All right. So I'm just going to start by logging in so you can see how I do that. And then we'll move into your questions. Okay, so I go to the website and I click on, now I do this, I save my password because it's one of these 15-digit passwords that or 15 character passwords that I can't remember because I keep recycling and going over many years. So I let my computer keep my password. You may not want to do that. That's up to you. So then I log in. And it takes me to this, which wasn't in the first iteration, but is now. And this basically says you're not going to give away any secrets. I use the mobile authenticator, which I really like. I have that program on my screen, on my phone. And I go to the authenticator and it gives me 6 digits, which change every time. And you have to be kind of quick because they run out. Okay? That should take me in. And we get to the last screen I was on. So I'm going to take us back to the home screen so you can kind of see what's here on the home screen. And if you have a question, please raise your hand and then just go ahead and ask your question. I'm here to help you overcome your frustration. Okay, let's not all speak at the same time. Let's go through a couple of things that seem to cause people no end of problems, and that is activity logs. This is kind of where it all starts. And when you enter an activity log, I'm just going to enter what we're doing right now. So anytime and always in Auxdata, when you want to start something new, you can kind of slide over to the right-hand side of the screen, and I'm circling it with my cursor. I'm going to click on New. Most of what we do is unit individual. Boat-related things are essentially when you have something to do with a patrol. So we'll just go into unit individual, and it's going to ask you some questions. What unit are you involved in? And it gives you a drop-down menu of recent units that you've been involved with. And of course, mine is International Falls. And the OPCOM, you can put it in, but I'm going to show you that that's automatic. So we're going to slip over here. I always work left to right, by the way. Our review status is open. We haven't really done anything yet. The operations codes apply only to certain things. You might want to spend some time going through what they are. I'm going to go down here to the Uniform Pilot Program because I've actually done some work on that in the last week. If none of these apply, leave it blank. Then we go to the mission code, and I want to speak to you about basic mission codes. People get very confused about these 99 hours. 99A hours are for people serving us based on their leadership role. That leadership role can either be elected or appointed. So if you're doing something that has to do with one of your leadership roles, you would choose 99A. So I'm just going to choose that. Well, let me talk about the rest of them first. RBS support is when you are actually doing activities, not PA, which has a whole different set of rules, associated with the recreational boating safety mission set. 99C is marine safety support. And here again, many of the marine safety missions are very specific. They have their own code, and we can talk about code in just a few minutes. 99D is anything that you do as a student. Anything that you do as a student. That can be homework, that can be Moodle, that can be just pretty much any studying that you do is 99D time. 99. Yes, ma'am.
It's a hand raised. I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Okay, I can't see him. So, Commodore Smith, if you could just call on that person for me.
Scott, are you there?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Thank you. As far as like the training that we have been doing this weekend, it'd be great to demonstrate how we're going to log that.
Absolutely. I'd be glad to do that. So what I'm going to do in order to just do that so we don't run out of time is deselect that. Oh, is it going to let me? Dang it, none. Okay. So let's do it. Let's do a training situation. All right. I was in 3 sessions of Sabot this morning. So I'm going to call that 3 hours. So I'm going to go in here, 99D. But let me finish with 99E is everything else. Anything you don't know what to do. So driving time, sleeping time, anything, dreaming about the auxiliary time can be 99E. But for the training, we're going to go to 99D. And I'll put in today's date. And it's kind of neat. It knows what time it is. It knows what date it is. The time is not important. I'm going to put in 8 a.m. because I'm in the central time and that's when I started. I'm going to put in 3 hours. And just so you know, if you click on this little information budget button, it will show you if I had done 3 hours and 10 minutes, I would be putting in 3.17. I don't get just real crazy about the 0.1 numbers, but you can if you'd like. Very important is that you type in a summary of activities. This helps the person approving this know that you've chosen the right code. Okay, so let's see. I have everything I need. I'm going to click save. Remember, started on the left. The opcom will be put in automatically. The operations code only applies if you did one of these very specific operations. Mission code always required. Activity code is automatically put in for you. So let's click save and see how it changes. It takes us to this screen, which represents everything we've put in so far. Okay, so here you can see the OPCOM was changed from nothing to 9th Central. The activity code was put in as UMS. They know, and we just let them put those in. Here's my time, my date and time, and it puts in what time my mission ended based on the duration. So it takes the start time, adds my 3 hours, and says that's when I ended. And actually, that's really fairly accurate. Okay, so we're not going to be talking about vessel exams, program visits, and so forth. But if you would choose, for example, code 11, mission code 11, it would ask you to enter the program visit information. The system is pretty smart. Okay, so now we pay attention to this line of items. Okay, we're going to say add a member. And just because I know it's me, I'm going to put in my member number. I'm going to click myself and then add myself as the member. And on all 99 hours, make sure you can see this. On all 99 hours, you put in yourself as lead. Okay, very important. Put yourself in as lead. We actually won't let you save if you don't do that, but overcoming that frustration, just remember that you need to put in a position, and those positions for all 99 hours are lead. Then you need to update the activity. Look at the green button. I now have on my record that I am the lead. I'm going to go back to related, and this is where it gets pretty nice. And the related page is going to tell me that I, Sue Thurlow, have put in lead time, and I believe I am ready to approve. So what you would do is go to approval requested as a member, and then mark as current. Okay. Now, before we go, I want to show you this. And I highly recommend that you download this document, because one of the places that we really see issues with members entering their own time, come on, baby, there we go, is that they make mistakes on choosing the correct code. This is one of the reasons why all mission activity logs need to be approved by somebody up the chain a little bit. So this explains those 99 codes that I mentioned. This explains the maritime or the surface operation codes, and it goes all the way through. So if you're doing example, I work for the Coast Guard doing the kind of thing that we're doing right now, actually, but this would be training time is 06B. Operational training time is 06A. The work I do for Auxdata2 for me is 08. Auxdata entry is 92. This only qualifies for FSOs, SOIS, DSOs trained as IS officers. Members entering that data would use 99A or 99E. There's all kinds of information here that you can scroll down and find, and then download it so that it's available on your desktop, and you'll have it. The easiest way to find it is to, come on, baby, is to locate it in the activity logs, and they're right here. So as you're entering activity logs, you can always go back to your details and change your code. Oh, that should have been 99E. And then you can hit the little pencil and it gives you an opportunity to change it if you want to. Your last operation in this process is going to be approval requested. And from that point, somebody else will take a look at it. So how do they do that? I'll just very quickly show you. And if you get lost, just go back up to the top, go to home, and you can start over on pretty much anything. Activity logs, I look at them in this context. This is a list, and you'll always get this, of recently viewed items. You can set up parameters to allow you to view the last list you looked at. So I'm going to go to 9CR activities requiring approval. And I'll show you how this works. Notice the review status. This is from my division. These are all activities that need to be reviewed by someone who has that authority. I can show you, if you go to this little wine glass, I can change from 09130 to 09120. Say done, save. And here's a list of the things that need to be approved for Division 20. She's got a few more than I do. Here's something that every member needs to understand. Open items will probably never be approved because approval has not been requested. So make sure that you change that status from open to approval requested. And remember, let me just see if I can back up and show you that again. Right here, going from open to approval requested, click there, and then go over and mark that status. And that will change so that a couple things happen. Your SO will get an email saying there's been a request, and it will be taken out of open status so you can expect it to be approved. Now here's my advice to you. If you enter something and you do the approval requested after 2 weeks, you should expect that that's approved. Now, if somebody wants to take a screenshot, the way to get this to work for you personally is to click on I call it the wine glass. I mean, there's a million different ways to do this, and set it up so that it fits these parameters. All activities, unit starts with, you can, and this is an interesting anomaly. You don't want to say unit equals, you want to say unit starts with. So you'll click here, select unit number, starts with, and then you can get right down to your flotilla number. No blanks, just to your flotilla number. Say done, and then enter the review status. You want to see what's open, what's requested, what needs clarification, and what's under review. Now, if the reviewer believes that something isn't clear or there's a mistake, they might very well do needs clarification. that will send you an email, or whoever created this activity log, a notice that something's wrong, something more information is needed, any number of things. Okay? Questions on that? I'll just do this, save it so you can see. And now this is the one I just created. I can close that, and you'll see that it shows my unit number, the date I created it. And if you have somebody else entering your stuff for you, that is perfectly okay. If you don't feel comfortable doing it right at first, you can send your time, hours, and so forth to another member to enter it for you. Just understanding that if there are any issues, emails go back to the person who created it, not back to you as the member named. Okay? Let's talk just for a minute about tasks. I did a presentation yesterday in the round robin talking about tasks. There are many, and members are not allowed to enter tasks. Let's talk about what tasks are. Tasks are courses that require, so let's say ops workshop, RMTCT, tasks are QE check rides, tasks are workshops, those kinds of things. They must be entered by an SO above. Reason? So many mistakes were being made. People were actually entering tasks that weren't even current, but were in the system because they had been current 5 years ago. And that really lit somebody's hot button who said, what? And they figured out that people were just going in and entering tasks. Not that any of you would do that, but so they made this global rule that only SOs and above can enter tasks. But there again, if you send task information to somebody at that point, you should expect that it will be entered. Now I want to show you what that looks like. Okay, at 1:20 this afternoon, I received a qualification notice form from Mike Odette. And that is that Robert Schaefer, so Mike Odette is the originator. He's talking about a qualification for Bob Schaefer. He gives me Bob Schaefer's number. This is that Bob Schaefer's instructor qualification had gone into REYR. Okay. Here again, members can't fix their own qualifications. That has to be done actually by me. And I get many of these in
Commodore,
a week.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Scott's
Scott
got
has another question.
Okay. Yep. Let me quick finish this. I get many of these in a week, and I try to stay on top of them. But if you as a member have something go wrong with the qualification you have, I want to show you a couple things about that. And if it stays wrong, then you contact your flotilla commander. Go ahead, Scott.
Yes, it's me again. So
It's okay.
thanks. Just wanted to enter the communications training that I did today, and when I go to save the review status from open to submit for review, it said I have to. It said the error code I got said you must add a member.
Okay. Did you remember to do that? I mean, clearly you didn't. Let's go. Let's go back and I'll show you that again. I was going to open up this log. Okay. The system doesn't know it's you. And because remember I said you can enter for somebody else or you can enter for yourself. So you need to go right here and add
Oh,
the member.
okay, Roger that.
And yep, and recall that that's where you have to put in lead, non-lead, and so forth. All 99 hours are lead.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Now I'm going to go. I'm going to go to myself. And how do you find yourself? This is the easiest way. Put your name in. Upper right-hand corner, the little search spyglass. It's going to bring up a whole series of things, but under members, we want to go to Sue. Okay. Now, this is one of the most powerful resources that they've come up with in the last couple months, basically right toward the end of last year. If you go to related, this is basic information on this first screen. The meat of the program is under related.
Commodore, there's another question.
Go ahead.
You have time.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Monica.
Monica.
Hi. If, for instance, I was teaching a member training class, not one for a required. A month or so ago, I taught a short class on the water and kids type of things for instructors to see if they would be interested in teaching it. So I filled out a 70-30. Does that automatically somehow get in here, or would I have to go in and enter it in the Auxdata2?
I have to think. 06A time is for operations. 06B time is for general training. So you could put, and public education, by the way, is a whole nother different thing, as is public affairs. So you would need to identify what was that. For example, I teach a public affairs thing to kids up in International Falls every spring. So does Tom, so does several other members of our flotilla. I consider that PA time. That's public affairs time, even though I'm teaching kids. Okay, well, I don't have a PE class to identify it to, which is under that list I shared with you, 14 time. So I think I would classify it as 06B time. And the quick answer to your question is yes, you would need to enter that.
For
And
each
then,
person that was in the class?
were they members?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was to teach
So,
instructors about that particular type of class if they've never taught it before.
okay, here's how that looks. That is a great question. You, as the actual instructor, would enter your time as 06B. Bravo. Students would enter their time as 99 Delta. And that's the easy way to think about this. If you are the instructor, it's 06A or B. If you are a student, it's always 99B, D, Delta. They can enter their own, or, if you're feeling really generous, you could enter their time for them. Or one of the students could say, hey, everybody, I've got your names, I've got your numbers, I'll enter it for you. It doesn't matter who does the entry.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Sure. Okay, so now under related, I just want to get down here. I don't want us to miss this. We have a list of all of the activities that have been put in the system. So Monica could look here and see if that was entered. And if you go to view all on any of these, you can sort them by mission start time. I go back to 2007. I mean, this system goes back, by the way, to 2001. Okay? And then mission end time, or the current time. It gives the status, it gives the duration, and if you don't see a duration, you can always open up the activity log and see what this was. Your DSOIS and Jen Petravka have the opportunity to enter tasks without going through the activity log system. And when that happens, duration doesn't show up. That just means a task was entered, and hopefully the student put in their own 99D time. Okay, so going back, there's just so much to this, but I want to make sure you see this, because this is something that will help you understand one of our big issues, and that is this. I'm going to go to my competencies, and yes, there are a few. And I'm going to go down to boat crew coxswain. That's a kind of a common one. And I want to show you what this does. This is the general information. This shows my status. I'm not in rear. Okay. If I was in rear for coxswain, it would have a rear start date and possibly have a reason why. So, for example, if I had not taken the operations workshop in 2023, I would have gone into rear on January 2nd for coxswain. Okay. And same with instructor. I showed you Bob Schaefer. He's in rear. We could quick take a look at him too, just to see what his looks like. This feature is new. Okay. What this feature does is it identifies for the current year, and that's important for you to understand. For the current year, what is required? It shows, and if you go down here once again, there's a way to show all the activities that it took me to get to be coxswain. And I'm going to show that to you in this format because it's a little easier to read. The yellow boxes indicate that in order for me to not go into rear at the end of this year, I have to do these items in yellow. Okay? So there are also things like NAV rule currency. This is pretty neat. What it does is it tells you that I took the NAV rules on 1/12/2024, and I will expire on 1/12/2029, which for people who know about being a coxswain knows that if you don't take it in time, you have to take it proctored, and it's a really hard test. So all of these things show I'm current. These things show that I have to do something before the end of the year. So let's go to Bob Schaefer. Since I shared with you what his flotilla commander sent me. I clicked on his name. I'm going to related. Going down to his competencies, and I go to view all. And I just want to find his instructor competency. And I think you will notice, isn't that interesting? It says he's in rear, but we don't know why. This is where it gets dicey. I need to go back and understand, what do instructors have to do in order to stay current? I would go back to Bob's name, and I would check to see if he had taken, and this is where it gets to be really a lot of work. So I would go down to his tasks. Come on, baby. All right. And remember, the tasks are the things that are entered by an SO or above. They are in alphabetical order. And I notice that He has taken just recently the 2024 instructor workshop. Now, that wasn't required this year, but it was required, I think, last year. And notice that he had not taken it. This is where your DSOIS has to kind of know a lot. So what happened here is he took it this year, and it doesn't automatically bring him out of rear. So his flotilla commander said, "Well, he took the workshop. What's the problem?" I have to go in. I'll just show you how this happens. And take him out of rear. And you'll notice what happens here when I click save. The rear start date disappears. And I can also, and it told me, prior year required workshop not complete. Okay, I take that out, and I have completed my part of the task. If we go back to Bob's record, he now shows as certified. Okay, so this one, and this is another piece of it. Guess what? His Aux SC&E instructor status is also in rear. The reason is that he hadn't taken the instructor workshop, which is required for him to be certified. So because I know that, I'm just going to go in and fix that one while I'm at it. And what else have we got here? Same thing here. He's an auxiliary TCT instructor. To be a qualified auxiliary TCT instructor, and here's a red box, you have to have instructor qualification, and you have to have taught 4 TCT courses in the past 2 years. So I cannot recertify him for that. Okay? So that's part of what I do on a regular basis. But let's get back to you and what you do. I think it's really important for you to understand this rear thing, because here's what happens. On the 2nd of January this year, every member who did not have core training up to date was put into rear for every one of their qualifications. Every one. Which meant, oh boy, now we have to go back and check every one for every requirement. And that gets kind of hard, but and that's why we really push keeping your core training up to date. If members did not take the operations course workshops, the IT, TCO, in Bob's case, instructor from the year before, and so forth, they went into rear on the 16th of January. And if they did not get their progressive hours or requirements, so for example, I believe an instructor has to instruct a minimum of 2 years, and that, Monica, would be that 06A or 06B time. Or public education time counts for that. You would go into rear for that on the 16th of, I think, January, but they got kind of slow and maybe did some of them in February too. But the bottom line is, hopefully you will get your activity logs in so that they get approved and things don't happen early in January that put you out of certification. Okay, let's have some questions. What do you want to know how to do? What's frustrating you? I can't help if I don't know. We would like to see members entering their own activity logs, because then you get the notifications and that it's been approved, or you don't get the notification if it wasn't approved, and you can do more monitoring of your own stuff.
Sue, Elias here. Are
Yes.
we, could we look at something from a member, FSO member trainings? I've got a question. I'd like to just look at a report and see who needs what.
Okay.
Do you want to get into that or not?
Well, we can. Reports. Boy,
Yeah, maybe you don't want to.
when reports open, when we get into reports, it's more complicated. But when you click on the reports menu, which is under more on my screen, because I'm working from a 13-inch computer here, you will see the most recent reports that you've had open. And I mean, clearly, I've had a lot of them open. And I do all the awards for the district, so I have all those stored here and there and everywhere. You can look at reports created by me specifically. Let's look at this guy. Unfortunately, they changed away from this colored report, and I have this sneaky little one stored. So, what unit do you want to look at? This is for core training, and here again, on any of the reports, Alois knows this. You can find anybody else's report and click on the unit number, change it from 2009 to 3004, which is Alois's unit, and apply it. And now we're going to see in Alois's flotilla who's close and who's in the red and who's in the green. What do these mean? And by the way, take a screenshot of this so that you can search for this specific report that is color coded. And none of the other ones are. So I saved this one very closely. When you change something, you're always going to want to do save as. Otherwise, I'm going to be, and it really doesn't matter. I can fix pretty much any of them. So on this report, we see that in Alois, let me know if I'm sharing too much information.
No.
We see that Chris Ahrens is not qualified for anything and has not been qualified since January 1, which was 83 days ago. Okay, he went into re-year for core training because his 5 years were up on January 1. Okay, we see that David Anderson is fully qualified and has 1,000 days left. We see that Barry Andrews, who is in the yellow for some of these, will go into re-year at the end of this year. He has 283 days left. And you'll notice in this report that 283 is a pretty common number. And what it's telling you is that right here, Alois has to take the PAWR or 8115 course before the end of the year. So this takes care of, here we have Rena, who is, if you see a 0, that is a member who is not yet required to have this, or in other words, has not taken that 502319 course yet. This is, I'm sure, a new member.
Yes.
Because she's not in re-year for it, but because they have a certain amount of time. So she needs to grab that. And that's what the 0 means. And we have Jessica Worley, who has the same issue. I'll move that over a little bit so you can see. This is a great report. Every flotilla commander, every division commander should access this report to stay on top of core training, which just is so incredibly important as it relates to Auxdata2. because when you go into rear, it's a nightmare if you have more than one qualification. Is that what you were looking for?
Probably. I kind of knew that much, but I'm not quite sure what my problems are until I'm doing them.
Well, and there again, Alois knows who to call if she has problems.
Yeah.
She does this work for her flotilla. She can get in touch with her SOIS, who's pretty good at reports. I can show you something on reports that might be helpful to you. I can spend hours and hours on reports, and I do. So if we go back, and remember, you can always go back using your back button to the reports area. Click on all folders, and this is kind of tricky. Over here on the left side, if you click on all folders, that gets you to this screen. Now, what this screen shows you is if you want to see specific reports that you have created, hopefully, for your flotilla, click on Auxiliary All Access. See it here at the top? Then you would go to 9 Central. Then you would go to your division. And because I specifically asked for this, you can find your flotilla. And because this is me, I'm not finding my flotilla. It's in there, but it's well down the list. And then you can open your specific flotilla stuff. These are all my reports, and I'm crazy. I do them all the time. Here we go. 0913007. That's me. And I have a zillion reports in here, of course. I like to see things like competency status. I haven't even looked at this one in a long time. So of my members, where are we? Where are we? Okay. Tim Engrave, who is not an active member of my flotilla, he's fairly actually inactive. I can learn right here that he is up to date on his core training, but he's kind of lost everything as far as his qualifications. So then we come down to Jim Knapp, who's our very newest member, who is up to date on his core training and on his BQ2. Also, I can see that just with the check marks. So let's go down to Ramon. She has a whole ton of qualifications. And this is kind of interesting. It's showing Ramon has gone into rear for her boat crew, and I know why. As her flotilla commander, I know that she's in rear for boat crew because she didn't put in enough hours last year. This is kind of interesting. She was a boat crew coxswain, and she gave that up. So we archived that qualification and regenerated the boat crew qualification. Here again, recreational program visitor. She didn't do enough. So the system put her into rear. And that's just kind of the way it all lays out. Here's Raul. He has a situation, a personal health situation going on. So he's kind of stepped back. I can tell you that he's in rear for telecommunications operator because that now requires risk management TCT. And he didn't take it last year. Flotilla commanders, this really helps, and other leaders, this really helps you understand your unit. Okay. Here I am. Oh, look at that. Fantastic. One of the things that we do is we now put in superseded by a higher competency, which means that when I started out as a PA specialist 3, went to 2, then went to 1, I put in superseded rather than archived. So this is a really nice report. And oh, by the way, guys, you can go into 0913007 and grab my report. All of these reports are wide open to you. All we ask is that when you borrow somebody else's report, you go to, let me get this over so you can see it. You always start with File Save As and save it to your own flotilla or division. The other thing you can do is export, and that puts it in Excel, which some people find easier to manipulate. So feel free to search reports. The other thing I wanted to show you about reports, if we go to, here again, all folders, quick stops. These reports were created by National, supposedly to make it easy for you to find information. And they do, except the hardest part about it is finding them, knowing where to look in these folders. And a while ago, they came out with a document that I have that sort of sets out where different things are. So let's just take a quick look at workshop trackers. Okay, so if you want to know if your VE workshop was entered into the system, you can go to the workshop tracker for VE or Surface Ops. Let's take a look at that. Now, what do we have to do? It's immediately going to show us no information that applies to us. So now we're going to go to the little wine glass and change this out to unit number starts with 0913007. And I'm just not going to save this, so I'm not following my own rule. And here are the people for whom the operations workshop is required. And it shows their status. And I think it's going to show how many days until due. And the how many days until due shows that Sue Thurlow, who's also a qualification examiner, and it says that's why I need this workshop, has Tom and I and Sue and Tom and I have until the end of the year, and that we have completed it. No other members of our flotilla have taken that operations workshop. We are having a session with that on May 6th to get everybody up to date. So this particular report does show people who are in re-year, which I think is helpful. Question?
Commodore,
Yes.
Anne had a question, but she put her hand down, so you may have answered it. But go ahead, Anne. Hearing none from Anne, Kathy Slaybaugh, Commodore Kathy has her hand raised. Go ahead, Kathy.
Hey, this, so I have a currency question. If someone missed last year's workshop and are in RAYR, can they get out of RAYR simply by taking this year's workshop?
Correct.
Okay.
Now keep in mind that their trustee flotilla commander needs to send that up to me so that I'm able to go in and look.
Well,
Because
I happen
that
to know
is-
her, so
Oh, do you?
I can do that.
That coming out of REYR is a manual process for me. Jen Petravka and I are the only two in the district authorized to take people out of REYR. I receive all of the emails requesting that. And it's not simple. For air and surface, we go in, we receive the request, we go in and look. And for everything except the annual workshop, I have to send the request up to the OTO, who proofs my work and then sends back an email to me allowing me to take the person out of REYR. Now I showed you how that's done. It's pretty quick, and it's quicker for me than a lot of people because I know the requirements so well. If you were starting on this, it's tough. It's difficult. So, and for our flotilla commanders who are trying to struggle through this, it's a challenge for them. So we're nearing the end. Any questions I can answer quickly? How do you feel
Commodore
about?
Ann has a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Okay, Ann.
You
Go,
flipped me
girl.
off faster than I could flip on. I wanted to know how you can look up your total hours. Can you look up your own hours? Because mine aren't showing correctly on that initial page when you get into Auxdata2. It's showing like 2,400 for me, and I know I've got more than that. But I was wondering if there's a way you can look up your hours.
There is, and it's a report. As a matter of fact, I've been in it recently, double checking for the service hours, and I'll get back to you on that. I just have to find it. It's a report, and I've been in it, as I say, recently. Gosh, I don't think I can pop. The thing about reports is I do so many. Now remember, when you just open up reports, it goes to your recent. Aha.
Hmm.
This one, okay. Let me see if I can just very quickly. I've got 2 minutes before I have to be in my next session. Kathy, do you want to go start my next session for me? Okay. What's your member number,
I
Ann?
think Kathy's gone already.
Okay. What's your member number, Ann?
3002917.
2917?
Yes.
Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, this is just for the last year. I don't know if this will work. When did you start in the auxiliary?
February of 16.
$8,308. Oop. Yep. And then we've got total miles and total cost. So there it is. Take a screenshot of this and I gotta go. Sorry, guys.
Oh, I know that's not right. Okay, thank you. That's not right, but
Well, that's what's been entered. So if you have issues, just give me a call personally. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. I think we need to start offering training sessions again. So if you agree, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Bye bye
Thank
now.
you.
Sure.